Saints. So it looks like Kellen Moore is going to be the guy. Thoughts on that fit in New Orleans?
I think the opportunity for him coming here is tremendous. He's obviously been an incredible offensive mind, had great success wherever he's been as a play caller and coordinator. Obviously, he's, you know, coaching Philadelphia in this game, and done a great job with that offense. Man, I think he would be inheriting an offense that it has the ability to be extremely explosive. I think we saw what the Saints are capable of the first two season or games of this year. Unfortunately, they were just decimated by injury throughout the year, but he's got a lot to work with Derek Carr, with the two receivers, Olave and Shaheed, and continue to kind of build on that. Taysom Hill coming back from injury. Alvin Kamara was a little banged up towards the end of the year. But that combined with whoever they go out and choose to grab in free agency and in the draft, and then combined with it, what's been a top 10 defense over the last 8 years, and in a division that quite honestly is pretty wide open. Yes, there's some kind of young ascending teams in Carolina with Bryce Young and Atlanta with Michael Penix, but I mean, look, 10 wins has won this division the last couple of years, maybe even 9 wins. So I think it's really wide open. It's kind of there for the taking.
Yeah, obviously, as you know, the Saints are going to be the last NFL team to fill their head coaching vacancy. But that would kind of be the sell, like what you're telling me right now. If you were working for the Saints and you're trying to sell a head coach on taking the job, it's, man, you got all this offensive talent, you got top 10 defense, you got this number 9 overall draft pick. That's where it would be, right?
Yeah, that's exactly where it would be. Is you've got talent in places that you want. You have the opportunity to go out and get more through where they're positioned in the draft. Um, and again, you're looking at a division where you feel like, man, we could really establish ourselves here. Look, there's a lot that goes into it, and you need guys to stay healthy. And the bottom line is you have an organization too that's willing to do whatever they need to do to help you be successful. I think they've proven that here over the last, certainly the 15 years that I was there and over the last 4. So um, it checks all the boxes.
I want to ask you, number 9 overall pick, obviously Saints, as we mentioned before. Top two quarterbacks in the draft are Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw this exchange yesterday. I think it was with Cam Jordan, your former teammate. I think he brought up to Shedeur like, oh, what happens if you drop to number 9 to the Saints, blah, blah, blah. And then Shedeur and Dion were kind of like, oh, I'm not going to drop to number 9. Shedeur was basically saying, but could you see that possibility happening with Shedeur dropping to number 9? And if that were to happen, what would his fit be like in New Orleans with that team and that system?
Well, I think you're always thinking in wherever you're drafting. Number one, what are the needs? But number two, kind of best player available, right? And inevitably, you see it in every draft where all of a sudden a guy drops, further than you expect, and he gets to you, and it's like, okay, we had our eye on somebody because that was maybe a need, but all of a sudden this great player is available. Especially at the quarterback position, where I think everyone recognizes you have to have a top flight quarterback in order to have a chance to really win and make a run at it. And so, look, you can never, when you have your opportunity to get who you might perceive as your guy, then you got to take him, right? I mean, just like, look, Sean Payton loved Patrick Mahomes back in 2017 when he was coming out. And I think had Mahomes dropped to number 11, I think Sean Payton would have taken him. Now um, the Chiefs traded with Buffalo of all teams and jumped to 10 and drafted him. And then we took Marshawn Lattimore with pick number 11. Pretty good. But nonetheless, when a QB is available and you think he could be your guy, look, I don't know the way the Saints feel about Shedeur. I know the way I feel about him. I think he's a heck of a football player. And obviously, I think, with having Dion as his coach and a mentor, father, his whole career, I mean, you feel like he's kind of equipped, poised, ready to take on that responsibility and step in and be an immediate impact player. These rookie quarterbacks are coming in more and more equipped based on their experiences in college and kind of how they've been developed. So yeah, we'll see.
I want to ask you, Hall of Fame inductions were announced, a couple of surprising things, but, Eli missed the cut. Your former teammate, Antonio Gates, made it. So before we touch upon Antonio Gates, I want to ask you about the Eli sort of snub. Did that surprise you that Eli didn't make it his first year eligible?
Um, I mean, look, there's so many great players on that list that didn't make it. I was surprised there was only 4 guys. It feels like over the years, it's been at least 5, 6. So look, when I look at that list, I mean, there's so many guys that deserve to be Hall of Famers, and I think it's only a matter of time before all these guys are. I know there's this, you know, maybe this level of respect or what have you that guys want to be first ballot, right? There's something to be said for that. But at the same time, man, all the guys that were selected, Antonio Gates, I think about as a former teammate, which, I mean, if there was a first ballot guy, I would have thought it was him, and he didn't get in last year, right? So, I mean, look, he leads every category for tight ends in history, right?
Yeah.
So, look, I think all those guys will get in at some point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody remembers you for your Saints career, 15 years, but you started out your career in San Diego. You had some good years, a couple of good years there with the Chargers. You played with Antonio Gates.
I haven't had a chance to talk with him. I was hoping I'd get a chance to see him last night, but I was backstage and we just missed each other because I was going out to present Walter Payton Man of the Year. But man, I'm so happy for him. I'm so excited for him. Because I remember when he first came in the league. I mean, literally 2003, he had just played college basketball, right? He had gone to Michigan State. Actually, was recruited by Nick Saban. And I think the story goes, he goes there to play basketball. No, he went there on a football scholarship, but the understanding was he was going to be able to play basketball. And according to Gates, Saban's like, "Nah, you can't play basketball anymore. Like, you got to focus on football." He's like, "Well, I really want to play basketball, so I'm going to transfer to Kent State." So he transfers to Kent State, plays 3 years of basketball, but he's only 6'3". He was a heck of a three, but I mean, look, if he was 3 or 4 inches taller, he would have played in the NBA as long as he played in the NFL. Seriously, he was that kind of an athlete. But comes into the league as a tight end, but hadn't played 4 years, putting his hand in the dirt. Like, this was foreign to him, right? But you just felt like, man, this guy's got something, And then sure enough, within midway through the season, all of a sudden we have some injuries and he's kind of forced to play, and you're like, whoa, I think we got something.
Pete Carroll, Raiders, that fit.
I think it's a great fit. It's hard to believe Pete Carroll's in his 70s because he's such an energetic guy. I had him in the Pro Bowl, what was that, like 2019 or something like that. And man, he's such a fun guy to be around. Like, loves the game, loves ball. Every coach that's coached with him just like, they kind of feed off of that enthusiasm. Players do as well. So I think that combined with just his experience and wisdom, obviously he's been a head coach for a really long time, won championships at every level. I think he brings a sense of like, man, real like professionalism and man, here's how we do things and accountability and competitiveness. And so I think he's a great fit from that perspective because I think, it seems like he brings some structure as well, so I think that's a good thing.